Hi Mini Masters! This is our video of crafts that go along with the story Perfect Square. So what our first activity is going to be is kind of like what we did last week, where we did some stamping, some just regular stamping on some heavy piece of paper, and just kind of exploring what's fun about the different shapes. So for this one, you need anything square that you can stamp with. So a stamp or a toy, I used this part of an old kitchen sponge. I just chopped up into a little square. This is actually a toilet paper tube that I folded so it looks like a square, so that you can get the stamp on the outside, but the inside will be open, but then this will be a solid square. So any kind of square. And then your primary colors, your red, your yellow, and your blue. So then what we're going to do is have fun stamping, and we'll get colors mixed and everything like that. So get your color on your stamp and just have fun stamping. Overlap them, and when the color runs out, you get some more. And have fun. So that just like we did last week, only this time we're doing it with squares. So now I'm going to use this square. And do you see how that's a solid square, and then the other squares are more open squares? And I'm running out of some paint, so I got to get some more paint. So there is my different square. And you see how it kind of mixes together to make a different color. It makes purple when you mix red and blue. So last but not least, I will stamp with some yellow. I just used the other side of my red, and I'm going to stamp some yellow. I'm running out of yellow paint, so you can just barely see it. But it all is some pretty colors, and it looks pretty abstract and pretty cool, actually. So we get all those little stamps in there, and you see how cool that is? And look at all the different colors that I've made. You see out here in the corner, my blue and my yellow stamped over top of here made this pretty green color. So it's fun to stamp, just do nothing but stamp and make a pretty abstract picture and explore some shapes and your primary colors. So that's the first activity. Our second activity is we are going to make some flowers just like we had in the story. So I have two perfect squares, or somewhat perfect. Got a red and a green. Remember in the story, the square was ripped, it was cut, it was manipulated, it was all these different things crumbled, and then they made a different picture out of it. So we're going to do a couple different things with our squares. So this is going to be our flower, and this is going to be the leaves of the flower. So for my square, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually rip my square. I'm going to rip it and get little pieces like this. Any kind of pieces that you want. Just rip it however you like. It could be big pieces, they could be small pieces. Just rip them all like that. Because remember, part of what happened to the square is he got ripped. So ripped in all these little pieces like that. And you may not have to use all these pieces. But when you want to make sure that their size is about this big, you don't want to make them too small, because then you can't use them. So then what I'm going to do is take my glue stick, and I'm going to glue these to my piece of paper and make it like a flower. So I'm just going to glue it kind of up here towards the top, because we're going to leave some room down here for our, maybe I'll turn this upside down. There you go. We're going to leave some room down here. This is where our grass is going to be, and we're going to leave some room for a stem and some leaves. So we just get some glue, and just try to make it into some sort of a flower shape. Just make it kind of like an abstract flower. That's okay. So there's one flower. Get this one, and it's okay if it overlaps too. We're exploring what the different shapes and deconstructing those shapes looks like, and how we can overlap them to make something different. So I'm going to put a third flower over here. I'm going to put one up there. I'm going to put that here. The fun part's when you get these like really pointy ones, so it looks kind of like the the petals on a flower. There we go. So they don't look like much just now, but if you add in some grass at the bottom, got some grass going here, and then you can add a sun up top if you want. So here I got some grass, and then I'm going to put a stem. So you can draw a stem, and you can do the stem first if you want. If you want to draw the grass and then the stem and then put your shapes around it, you can do that. Absolutely. So there's my stem, and there's, I'm going to put the stem way over there. There we go, there's my stems. So then I'm going to take my green paper, and this time I'm going to do something different. So in that one, you can use hole punch, you can use any kind of different things to do with that square, because remember, again, the square was cut and ripped and crumpled, so I'm going to use my hole punch a few holes in it, and then I'm going to take some of my fancy scissors and I'm going to do this and cut it, and it's going to look completely different than what it started out as a square, right? So here I've got 3 pieces of green paper with some holes and some fancy corners on there. So what I'm going to do is cut it in half. Actually, they're a little bit too big. And we're going to glue these to our flower. These are going to be our just some leaves that are coming off. And I got another one for this one. There we go. And then this one I'll actually put maybe off to the side over here. Ta-da! There you have it. There is your ripped and stamped and cut piece of square. So we've completely ruined our square, but then our square became something beautiful. So I've made 3 flowers out of a perfect square. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Have fun.